Hey everyone, my name is Alan Smith and I'm a meteorologist for OpenSnow, a weather forecasting service and app that provides detailed weather information and conditions for outdoor recreation. And I'm so excited to present some insights into weather forecasting to the First Descents community to help you plan your next outdoor adventure. Weather and outdoor recreation are both passions of mine, as I grew up at the base of the Blue Ridge Mountains in Greenville, South Carolina, before heading out west. I earned a degree in meteorology from Metro State University of Denver and have been working in the field of meteorology for the past 10 years. Using weather to plan your outdoor adventures really comes down to two things: obtaining reliable weather forecasts beforehand and understanding how to read the weather once you've already started your adventure outside. Weather conditions are more variable in mountainous terrain and other outdoor environments than you might expect in a city. Therefore, it is important to view weather forecasts that take elevation and terrain into account. If you happen to be an OpenSnow All Access member, this is an excellent resource for obtaining weather forecasts for any precise location and elevation in the world. Otherwise, I would recommend utilizing the National Weather Service, as you can obtain weather forecasts for mountainous terrain and remote locations here as well. The National Weather Service is also a great resource to use so that you are aware of any inclement weather watches or warnings that may be issued for your area. Next, I'm going to dive into 4 weather factors that I believe are important to pay attention to both before and during your outings. These factors are precipitation, lightning, temperature, and wind. First, let's start with precipitation. You want to pay attention to whether you are dealing with widespread steady precipitation that occurs with the passing low pressure system, or if you are dealing with more pop-up scattered showers or thunderstorms, or some combination of the two. Steady widespread precipitation, which is also known as frontal precipitation, is more common in the fall, winter, and early spring, but it can occur at any time of year. When dealing with this type of precipitation, you want to pay attention to both daily and hourly forecasts to see when precipitation probabilities are the highest, to get an idea of when the wettest or snowiest conditions can be expected. In general, widespread precipitation is more predictable than showery hit-or-miss precipitation. However, you also want to give yourself a margin for error on either end, as precipitation forecasts are based off of weather models, and the timing can sometimes differ from what actually occurs. If you're in the mountains and dealing with widespread frontal precipitation, note that precipitation tends to be heavier and more widespread on the upwind side of mountain ranges. This is also known as upslope precipitation. Prevailing winds are most common out of the west or the southwest. This means that most of the time, southwest and west-facing slopes, as well as the upper eastern slopes of mountain ranges, receive the heaviest precipitation, with less precipitation for the lower eastern slopes. However, winds can blow from different directions depending on the nature of the storm, occasionally resulting in heavier precipitation on the eastern side of mountain ranges. Scattered hit or miss showers are more common during the spring and summer months. This is because the sun is stronger, which heats up the lower atmosphere, allowing moist air parcels to rise into colder air aloft. This is known as convective precipitation and is usually more variable, less predictable, and shorter term in nature compared to steady frontal precipitation. However, rainfall intensity is usually heavier in convective precipitation, even though the duration may be short. Thunderstorms are also common in these types of patterns and can be a one-and-done ordeal in the afternoon, but occasionally you could see multiple waves of showers or thunderstorms with only short breaks in between. When it comes to shower and thunderstorm forecasts as opposed to steady precipitation, give yourself a greater margin for error and simply note which times of day seem to have the highest threat of showers. When you're outside, steady precipitation can usually be anticipated when cloud cover becomes thicker and the base of the cloud starts to lower. If you're in the mountains and clouds start to lower to the point of covering the peaks, then rain or snow is likely to begin in the near future. When dealing with showers, look for popcorn-shaped cumulus clouds that grow vertically and develop dark bases underneath. Precipitation type is also important during the fall, winter, and spring, especially if you are in the mountains, as this can vary by elevation. Pay attention to the forecasted elevation range of the rain-snow line, also known as snow levels. This is especially important for hiking and skiing, as well as driving over high passes or through mountainous terrain. While rain and snow are the two most common precipitation types, sleet or freezing rain can also occur when a layer of warm air aloft causes falling snow to melt before encountering a colder layer of air near the surface, which then causes the water droplets to refreeze into ice. If freezing rain is ever in the forecast, you are better off saving your adventure for another day, as this can wreak havoc on roads, trees, and vegetation. Another precipitation type you may encounter is hail. This is especially true during mountain thunderstorms and higher elevation terrain, as falling hailstones from a thunderstorm cloud do not have to travel as far before reaching the ground, and thus less time to melt from hailstones into raindrops. Okay, the second factor we're going to talk about is lightning. During the summer months, lightning is one of the greatest and most unpredictable hazards you will face in the outdoors. Lightning is most common from May to September, and even more so from June through August, but it can occur at other times of year as well. Before heading outdoors, it's important to understand your environment and its susceptibility to lightning. Areas you absolutely want to avoid when lightning is imminent include exposed high points or summits, wide open areas, lone tall trees, and water. Note that no area outside is 100% safe from lightning, and the best bet is to head indoors whenever there is lightning. In reality, this is often not possible when recreating outdoors. Therefore, the safest areas to take cover when lightning is present include forests with dense and uniform tree cover or any low-lying depressions such as valleys or ravines. Lightning is most common during the afternoon and evening hours once the sun is heated up and destabilized the lower atmosphere. But it can occasionally occur during off hours as well when atmospheric disturbances or fronts move through. Forecasts tend to highlight lightning potential, but keep in mind that thunderstorms are chaotic in nature and require a specific set of ingredients that in some cases are not realized until within hours beforehand. So you must be situationally aware when recreating, regardless of the forecast. Early in the day, take a look at the sky and note if you have clear skies with abundant sunshine or if you have flat, overcast skies. Overcast skies actually inhibit thunderstorm development due to a lack of solar radiation needed to heat up and destabilize the lower atmosphere. As the day progresses, look for towering cumulus popcorn-shaped clouds. These are warm, moist air parcels that rise vertically in the form of updrafts. Sometimes they form into thunderstorms relatively quickly, while other times they fall apart, rebuild, and fall apart, only to much later develop into thunderstorms. Once you see a towering cumulus cloud that grows taller and thicker into a mushroom shape, it becomes a cumulonimbus cloud, otherwise known as a thunderstorm cloud. If a flat-shaped anvil extends outward from the top of the cloud, this indicates the thunderstorm has reached maturity. In addition, you want to keep an eye out for dark cloud bases underneath these clouds and rain bands that are extending beneath the clouds. Also, while it's important to pay attention to thunderstorm development overhead, you need to keep an eye out for ongoing thunderstorms that could be approaching you from a distance. Once you hear thunder or see lightning, no matter how far away, it's time to head to a safer location. Even if a storm is off in the distance, lightning could strike up to 10 miles away from the center of a thunderstorm. If you're recreating in the mountains, be aware that thunderstorms are more common and can form earlier in the day over mountainous terrain compared to surrounding valleys and lowlands. This is because the rise in terrain helps to lift moist air parcels, thus accelerating updrafts. One other thing I'll mention with regard to thunderstorms is that it's good to be aware before heading out if there's any potential for severe thunderstorms. A severe thunderstorm is defined as a storm that produces one of three criteria. First, hail of 1 inch in diameter or larger. Second, wind gusts in excess of 58 miles per hour. Or third, a tornado. I recommend visiting NOAA's Storm Prediction Center, which you can Google or visit directly at spc.noaa.gov. This resource will highlight severe weather potential, including specific hazards on a scale of 1 to 5. Even if you see a level 1 or level 2 risk, that means that thunderstorms could pack more of a punch than usual, especially from an outdoor recreation standpoint. The third factor we're going to discuss is temperature. This may seem basic, but temperature can vary significantly by elevation, time of day, and proximity to water, and it can also change rapidly due to precipitation, fronts, or changes in cloud cover. When you're in the mountains, the general rule of thumb during the midday to afternoon hours is that temperatures typically decrease by 5 degrees Fahrenheit for every 1,000 feet of elevation gained. During the colder winter months, or any time widespread steady precipitation is occurring, temperatures typically decrease by 3 degrees Fahrenheit for every 1,000 feet of elevation gained. During the overnight and morning hours, however, this rule of thumb goes out the door. On clear nights with light winds, the atmosphere is stable and poorly mixed due to a lack of sun. Since cooler air is denser than warmer air, it sinks into the valleys, resulting in a temperature inversion in which it's actually colder in the valleys than it is across the higher terrain. In the winter, especially the further north you go, inversions can persist all day long during clear, cold, and stable weather patterns when snow cover is present and winds are light. Your proximity to water also has an effect on temperature, as large bodies of water such as oceans or big lakes react more slowly to temperature changes compared to land. Nighttime lows are typically warmer near large bodies of water and colder further away from the shore. Daytime highs are typically cooler near water and warmer further away from the water. Temperatures can also rapidly cool when precipitation occurs. During the summertime, showers and thunderstorms may offer heat relief if you're in the central and eastern U.S. However, if you're in the Rocky Mountains, showers or thunderstorms can turn a warm, sunny day into a cool and wet afternoon in less than an hour. The fourth and final factor we're going to talk about is wind. Wind impacts comfort level when recreating outside, and it can also impact certain activities from a safety perspective, including water sports or if you're scaling a high elevation summit. Winds can change rapidly depending on the time of day, elevation, and proximity to water. In the mountains, wind speeds typically increase as you gain altitude. This is because differences in pressure tend to be sharper with increasing altitude, and the sharper the pressure gradient, the stronger the wind. Mountains also divert and channel wind currents over peaks and through gaps. As a result, the strongest winds often occur over the high passes or saddles in between peaks, as well as on the very tops of exposed peaks. Winds also vary by time of day and time of year. High elevation mountain winds are typically stronger in the late fall, winter, and early spring, when the jet stream is stronger and located over the mid-latitudes. Lower elevation winds are usually strongest in the spring for two reasons. First, stronger sunshine in the spring heats up the lower atmosphere, resulting in a well-mixed atmosphere. And second, differences in temperatures tend to be sharper over shorter distances in the spring due to the changing seasons. Winds are often dictated by fronts and low-pressure systems, when stronger winds can occur at any time of day or any time of year. But all other things equal, winds are typically strongest in the afternoons when the atmosphere is well mixed. Proximity to oceans or large bodies of water also influence winds, leading to sea or lake breezes during the warmer months in particular. Temperatures rise more rapidly over land than over the water, resulting in pressure differences that cause winds to increase and blow from the cooler water onto warmer land. This can offer relief on a hot day, but also can lead to an uptick in wind speeds during the afternoon hours, which is something to account for if you're participating in water sports. One final note with regard to winds is that locally strong wind gusts can occur whenever thunderstorms are in the vicinity. This is due to outflow winds that occur from thunderstorm downdrafts. Okay, that concludes the presentation on the 4 key weather factors to pay attention to when heading outdoors. Thank you so much to all of you and for the First Descents team for letting me chat with you today, and I hope you find this information valuable for when you plan your next outdoor adventure.